President Biden is addressing urgent supply chain issues that are already impacting many Americans. Speaking from the White House earlier, the president called for the passage of his infrastructure bill to fully solve the problem. He also said Walmart, FedEx, and UPS would move to 24/7 operations to help relieve the backlog. This comes as the White House says it helped broker an agreement with the Port of Los Angeles to become a 24/7 operation. Containers and fully stocked ships are jamming up ports, and a shortage of truck drivers is making it difficult to get the products out. CBS News' Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
With port problems boiling over off the coast of California, President Biden announced new efforts to address the logjam after meeting with industry leaders.
Today, we have some good news. They're going to help speed up the delivery of goods all across America.
The Port of Los Angeles says it will expand to 24/7 operations, and some of the nation's biggest shippers and retailers are committing to expanding their hours too, including UPS, FedEx, and Walmart.
This is an important step to be taking today.
John Drake, the VP of Supply Chain Policy at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, classifies the current supply chain issues as a crisis.
I think if this issue is not addressed, that the American consumer is going to see price increases across the board. The business community can't simply continue to absorb the types of increases in transportation costs.
The country is also dealing with a truck driver shortage. The Department of Transportation says it's working with states to get trucking licenses out faster.
The increased demand for goods combined with disruptions has increased the cost of goods just ahead of the holiday shopping season.
I don't see this challenge being fully behind us until the end of next year and possibly into 2023.
A new report from the Labor Department shows inflation rose again in September. The Consumer Price Index is now 5.4% higher this year compared to last. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
For more on this, I want to bring in CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. Hi, Nancy. What is the White House hoping to achieve with these actions on supply chains? And is this all being done with an eye toward the busy holiday season?
Absolutely. And while the White House won't make any promises that everyone's packages are going to get delivered on time over the holidays, they realize that this is becoming a growing concern. Everyone at this point has seen the pictures of those barges waiting to come into the port. Everyone has waited endlessly for packages they thought would come sooner. And while there isn't that much, frankly, that the administration can do, they keep stressing this is a private sector problem. They do believe that they have a role to play as what they call an honest broker, basically bringing the stakeholders together, as the president did at the White House today, to say, what can you do to alleviate some of the backup? What can you do to help with this burden? And so you mentioned, Tanya, first of all, the big news that the Port of Los Angeles is going to be going to 24/7 operations after the Port of Long Beach did something similar a couple of weeks ago, but also that Walmart is now going to be going 24/7 to unload a lot of these goods and get them back to their warehouses, into their stores more quickly during off hours when there's less traffic and they can move goods more quickly. FedEx and UPS also announcing today, after meeting with administration officials, that they are going to be beefing up their overnight operations. So what the president was trying to do here was to showcase that these are the kinds of things that can happen when the White House gets involved, even though it's becoming quite clear that there isn't much that the White House, that Congress can do, either through executive orders or legislation, to begin to untangle what is really a global problem in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right. And Nancy, you mentioned those private businesses. The president made a point of asking the private sector for help. What exactly does he want retailers and private businesses like the ones you mentioned, FedEx and UPS, which he said together move 40% of all packages in the U.S. What does he exactly want them to do?
What he wants is for companies around the country to see what Walmart and UPS and FedEx are doing and saying, you know what, we'll go ahead and do the same thing. They don't necessarily, he's hoping, need a White House meeting to go ahead and do it, but he wants them to take a page from these major companies because, after all, when it's nighttime, when it's the weekends, there are fewer cars on the road. If they beef up their overnight trucking operations, they can move a lot of goods more quickly. But the other big problem here, Tanya, is that there has been such dramatic turnover in the trucking industry itself over the course of the pandemic. The Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, really opened a lot of eyes among reporters who were talking to him at the White House this morning when he said that some of the major companies have seen 90% turnover in their workforce over the course of this pandemic. And he says that one of his focuses is going to be working on ways to make that a more appealing industry. Because obviously the entire system grounds to a halt if you can't hire truckers to move those goods. So that is a big and ongoing concern. But really, we've seen worker shortages all throughout the supply chain, in the stores, moving goods, at the ports. You've had slowdowns because of COVID-19 causing shutdowns at the ports and at warehouses and what have you. And not just here in the U.S., but at ports in China and all over the world. So what the White House is hoping is that other companies will see what Walmart, what UPS, what FedEx are doing and try to figure out anything that they can do on their end to help alleviate some of the backups as well.
So many pieces of the puzzle when it comes to supply chains. And so, Nancy, of course, nobody wants this to turn into the Grinch that stole Christmas. But looking at the even bigger picture here, are these issues impacting the larger economic recovery from the pandemic?
Sure. I mean, if you can't get goods that you've purchased, then, that creates a sort of a ripple effect. Think about businesses that need some of those goods to then turn around and sell them to others. If they can't get those goods, they can't sell them. The White House knows that even if they are not directly responsible for this slowdown, that, they're going to get blamed, at least in part, if people can't get their goods, if people feel like the economy really isn't cranking back into gear. And so this is a concern for the White House, even if they didn't cause the problem and there isn't much that they can do about it.
Right. All right. Well, Nancy Cordes in Washington, thank you so much.
You're welcome.